We're keeping a close eye on what's been unfolding in a Manhattan courtroom today. The sex assault trial for Harvey Weinstein is underway. Jury selection will begin tomorrow. The 67-year-old former movie mogul arrived at the courthouse this morning. You can see him there. He's using an aid to walk, and then he left the courtroom 2 hours later. He is facing charges related to 2 cases. They include rape and predatory sexual assault. That one is a charge that could send him to prison for the rest of his life. Since 2017, about 80 women have come forward accusing Weinstein of sexual misconduct. This criminal trial helped to ignite the Me Too movement. CBC's Shauna Reid is live. She's right outside that courthouse there in New York. Lawyers for both Weinstein and for the accusers spoke with media. Important points made by each. What stood out for you?
Well, Suhanna, we just, as you mentioned, heard from the lawyers involved in this criminal trial. One of those lawyers was Donna Rotuno, and that is Harvey Weinstein's lead attorney. And she came out here and essentially talked about the challenges of navigating this case, talking about some of the things that they had asked for inside the courtroom. As I mentioned earlier, you know, we're getting a lot of the details now because journalists were not allowed to tweet or share information or send emails while they were inside. So that was the first time we were getting a sense of what was playing out in the courtroom. We know that the defense team had asked for the jury to be sequestered. This is probably one of the biggest tasks at hand for this week, is selecting a 12-member jury. And Donna Rotuno shared her concerns about ensuring that the jurors are fair and that they are impartial. She says that that is all that they ask for when it comes to jury selection, who they hope to see part of that 12-member jury. And here's more on what she had to say about that. Take a listen.
Here we are looking at a circumstance where she stands up in front of a court and calls my client a predator. Mr. Weinstein, again, has a right to a fair trial. I think she believes he's convicted already. That's not how this works. So we are here hoping to pick and find a fair jury, and we believe that that's going to be possible.
And so what you're hearing there is Donna Rotuno talking about something that played out in the courtroom. It was a bit of a dramatic moment we're hearing where a member of the district attorney's office referred to Harvey Weinstein as a predator inside the courtroom. And so that was something that she spoke about, as well as the fact that they really hope to see that they can get fair jurors. We also heard from Gloria Allred as well, and she represents some of the women who have made accusations towards Harvey Weinstein. She just spoke. She's actually still outside here, but here's more on what she had to say. Take a listen.
Both of my clients in this case have been very brave, very courageous, because they're willing to testify under oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God. And they're doing so because it's in the interest of justice for them to do that.
I want to take you back, Shauna, to a news conference that happened earlier before Weinstein actually arrived in court. It was held by many of Weinstein's accusers. What's the significance of them being together in a group today, standing firm on this day one of the trial?
Well, you know, Suhanna, it's really emptying out now, but earlier the scene, there were tons of people. Of course, some people that were just passing by, but many people who chose to be here this morning on the first day of the criminal trial of Harvey Weinstein. And many of those women were women who had their own allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Their cases will not be tried in this courtroom, but they wanted to stand in solidarity with the women whose stories will be heard today. Of course, this particular trial rests on the case of 2 women and their allegations against, Harvey Weinstein, but we did hear, of course, many other women like Rose McGowan, who talked about her allegations that she was raped by Harvey Weinstein at the age of 23, as well as Rosanna Arquette as well, who talks about an incident in the 1990s, early 1990s during her career. And these women said that it was important for them to be here, that this signals a shift and a change. Here's more on what they had to say. Take a listen.
We are here to ensure that the focus of this criminal case is on the perpetrator's actions, not his victims, and that justice is served. The truth will prevail.
You thought you could terrorize me and others into silence. You were wrong. We rose from your ashes. we rise together. That we've come to this moment of justice is staggering. The trial means so much to so many, but it will mean the most to the brave women testifying and to all of us silence breakers. I thank those testifying for standing, not just for themselves, but for all of us who will never have even one day in court.
And so, Hannah, one of the things that the women said, some of those women that you just heard speak, as Harvey Weinstein arrived in his SUV to enter the courtroom, he stepped out and it was very quiet. And they said it wasn't about screaming and yelling at him, but for them it was about facing him and standing there. And it was just quite an eerie moment as he stepped in. It wasn't what many people had maybe anticipated. It was quiet. He came in on his walker, assisted by a large number of police officers and his legal team, and made his way inside that courtroom. Within about 2 hours or so, court has wrapped for today, and of course it continues throughout this week.
Thanks for that, Tashana. We'll talk again. CBC's Tashana Reid live in New York. My next guest is one of the more than 80 women who have accused Harvey Weinstein of harassment, of sexual assault. More than 15 years ago, Montreal native Erika Rosenbaum met the movie mogul at a Hollywood party. She says there were 3 separate occasions where she alleges he sexually harassed her. While Weinstein is not facing charges related to those particular allegations, Rosenbaum is definitely paying close attention to the trial, and we've reached her live in Montreal. Erika, we've heard from a number of the accusers, and you know they all gathered outside of that courtroom, and there were statements that were made. Some called this day, the beginning of this trial, staggering. For you, what is in your heart on this day, one of what could be very long, very painful trial days?
Well, it is indeed a staggering moment for us, I think. Many of us kept this experience a secret for a very long time. We always thought that he was too big to take down, and we suffered in silence. We didn't tell anybody. Many of us didn't tell anybody about our experiences, including me. I kept that a secret for a very long time, and to see him go into a courtroom today and to see my fellow survivors up there standing strong together and speaking their truth at great personal risk, and it was emotional.
It's been 15 years. Does today bring back ugliness that you'd rather forget?
Yeah, I would happily put this behind me, and I would happily never discuss it again. But it's incredibly important to all of us that we use this negative opportunity to try to create change in our industry, in our culture, and it's a way for me to take my power back. I think the experiences we had back in those days, they robbed us of something, and creating a positive change from that experience and trying to help others and trying to make sure that people don't suffer in silence anymore, it helps to heal a wound to a certain extent. And so it's an important day, and it's a hopeful one. And I think that the days of staying silent and dealing with that shame by yourself are over. I don't think women are going to do that anymore.
Has it changed enough in the 2 years since you have spoken out, in the 15 since this happened to you? Has there been enough change that you are optimistic that voices will not be silenced?
I am always optimistic, but there has not been enough change, no. Here in Canada, we're very lucky. Our union, ACTRA, stepped up right away to offer support and to make sure that our sets were safe and make sure that they were doing everything they could to ensure that their actors and their performers were safe, that there was a safe way to report. The activist Mia Kirshner has also created a safe space for reporting and resources online with her aftermetoo.com. There's this online reporting called Rosa that you can check out. And you know, people have done things with Congress. They've gone to their local representatives and tried to change the laws, but it is really like trying to move a giant ship in the ocean. These systems have been in place for so long, and there is a whole culture to shift, one that has been created to silence and shame people who have been the victims of these kinds of abuse and abuse of power. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I am incredibly optimistic because all of these women are coming together, and men, women and men are coming together at great personal risk and really with zero upside. There's no benefit to sitting on a stage.
I know that you are getting, taking part in that work to affect change. You're speaking to young actors. You're trying to inspire people who want to succeed in this very difficult field. When you walk out and talk to young people as a group, what's the first thing you say to them? Because they have images of you and they know your story.
Yeah. Well, I try to offer a safe space for anybody to ask me questions. My most humiliating stories are out there for people to read, so I'm pretty much an open book, and I'm happy to discuss if that will help shed light on their own situation. I also try to make it a safe space for young men, because I think young men need direction and positive encouragement on how to be and how to behave and how to discuss consent. For the most part, the men that I've worked with in this industry and outside of it have been wonderful and supportive and creative and good friends and nothing but respectful. And this small subset of creeps has really sort of shaded a lot of nice guys unnecessarily. And so I try to create a safe space for men to discuss and to be a part of this discussion so that they can be allies and take part, because they're a huge part of this conversation.
I want to thank you for your time. I know, Erika, you'll be watching as the trial unfolds. It could be months before there is any decision made, but we'll keep in touch, and I thank you for your time today.